Welcome to Driving Performance. My name is Tom Shea. I'm the co-founder of Agile Media Group. I'm joined by Jake Karls from Midday Squares and Mackenzie, Connolly from Endeavor WME. Jake Karls runs Midday Squares. It's the world's first functional chocolate bar. Think the intersection of protein bar and a chocolate bar, but minus all the junk. Trying to disrupt the $140 billion chocolate industry through amazing products, a great team, and being unapologetically themselves. And Mackenzie Connolly is at Talent Ventures at Endeavor. Talent Ventures is a vertical within Endeavor WME, the global entertainment company representing some of the most popular athletes, actors, musicians, and models in the world. It sources, evaluates, and structures non-traditional partnership opportunities with disrupted consumer brands, platforms. Guys, welcome to Driving Performance.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, well, I'm fired up. This is a perfect crew together. We're interested in that world, you know. It's
intentional pairing.
Yeah,
what
smart.
Thank you.
I see what you're doing here.
Yeah.
And you have a fresh haircut, so you look pretty good.
Well, I'm covering it with the hat. But guys, so there's going to be a lot of audio listeners. This is a pretty weird format. Why don't you guys try your best to explain what the hell is happening right now?
You want to hit it, Kenzie?
Oh gosh. All right. So we are on Fifth Avenue, heart of New York City, in a truck, glass on both sides. People walking behind us. Got a really impressive production team. And most importantly, some Midday Squares next to us.
Running exclusively on Midday Squares.
We're actually selling it out of the truck, guys.
Yeah.
So there's no retailers here, so we're selling it out of the truck. But it's freezing in here, no offense.
Yeah.
And
We're from Canada, dude.
I'm from Montreal, no, but here's the difference. When you don't expect it to be cold and then you're in cold, it hits. Like my hands are like freezing. It's like autoimmune.
Keep them out of frame.
It is cold. It is cold, but that's all right.
But we're killing it. It's good vibes, good conversation. It's like kind of cool. I've never been in a truck that's glass that you can see through. It'd be kind of cool if we were moving and grooving, but hard in New York City.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I start this same question off for everyone. Do you guys know each other? How do you guys know each other? Is there a story there? Or could you guys just take us through your relationship if one exists?
Yeah, so we met 10 minutes ago,
There you go.
which is great.
Yeah.
No, but I actually have been a fan of Midday Squares for a while. I'm a big chocolate person, and I'm like, don't put it in front of me. I don't need it. I shouldn't eat it. But the ingredients are amazing.
Yeah.
And it's perfect 3 p.m. snack.
Well, cool. Well, we met in a Sprinter van.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Warming up together.
You're going to talk more about the meeting.
And she has a cool accent. You have a cool accent.
Really?
I don't know. Maybe it's like New York, New Jersey. I don't know. Like it's one of those.
Thanks.
Yeah, I love
never
it.
heard that.
Yeah, well, in Canada, I guess a little different. But I've heard a lot about what they do, and it's very interesting. I think that it's a lot of like interesting CPG meeting that world of talent is extremely important. So I'm excited to chat with you today, and obviously with Tom too. We know each other for about a year and a half now.
Yeah, for sure.
We met at Nosh event, right?
I think that's right. Yeah.
We fired it up there.
And Expo East with the claw.
Oh my, the claw! How good was that?
I'll make sure we
you have to
in
plug
the
that claw.
post-production, then we'll just
we
do
got
the
a
claw.
fine from that. We got a fine.
A fine?
Yeah, because that's Expo East is a big it's a big trade show.
Yeah, of course.
And product didn't show.
Yeah.
It didn't ship from Canada. It got stuck at customs, and we're like, hey, what do we do? So we went to like Target and we bought out like a bunch of like plushies, like toys, like as much Midday Squares as we could, and we rented a claw machine to give the entertainment factor because we had a booth that was a big booth.
You did a claw.
Like like those like Dave and Buster claws.
Yeah, Toy Story the claw.
Yeah.
That's
I would put
hilarious.
cash. I put like ones. I put like 100 ones, and then I'm like, oh, there's cash prize, and people come. We put GoPros around. The whole thing made a production, and like basically it was whole thing. But then they got mad because once we were done on Saturday, we had to like leave the claw machine there, and we left the booth, and they were like, this is a no-go. You cannot do that. And they gave us a nice little fine.
I love it.
But it was worth the hype. It was fun.
That's great. I mean, you remembered the claw, so that's all that matters.
We actually got one massive retailer from the claw specifically. None of us were there, and the GoPros were on, and it was the airports. Chibo Express.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we made a deal with them because of that. They're like, that claw was so epic. Like, you guys are creative. And we're like, okay, cool. There we go. That was worth every penny. So 100 airports later. And a claw machine.
Yeah, and some virality. It's turning a shitty situation into something positive, which we love. So I want to give you guys a breakdown. We're obviously in a truck, so there's a few different stops along this route. Stop 1 is going to be origin stories. Stop 2 is going to be specific questions that we prepared for each of you. Stop 3 is going to be intersection questions, so things that you guys might have different perspectives on, the same perspectives on, but uniquely at the cross-section of your guys' backgrounds. Stop 4 is going to be a game called the Hot Box, a little tongue-in-cheek this or that style game, modeled off the hot seat. And then stop 5 is going to be the wrap and the end of this route. So we're going to dive into it. And Jake, I'd sort of like to start with you. You have a really storied past. This isn't your first venture, your first go in entrepreneurship. So I'd love to just start at the top and all the formidable experiences that made Jake Karls.
I think the most important formidable experience is that I was a class clown in high school and I did really bad. Like I almost failed and didn't graduate. I think that was the defining moment that I understood that I loved people. And I didn't care for the academics, unfortunately, and actually fortunately because it became who I was. But then I started to study like seriously. I was like, I got to be like everyone else, and I tried to be an actuary. And after that, realizing that the actuary was not for me, and I was doing it for like my parents and like friends, and just prove to people that I actually am smart because I thought that that was my worth.
Right.
I ended up launching a fitness business because I loved fitness because that was my like control of life. I felt comfortable that I was able to work out and grow like my muscles at the time. I looked like I was on steroids, but it wasn't. Because I was so obsessed with it that I ended up doing an outdoor boot camp business, and like similar like a Barry's boot camp, but outside in Montreal.
That feels like personality fit.
Oh, hello.
Perfect
I
for
used
you,
Snapchat.
dude.
I was like no shirt off all day. Like I used a big speaker. All I did was a big speaker. I used like cones outside my parents' house in their driveway. And everyone had like these great jobs in the summer, and I was doing this, and I was basically charging people $5 like a class, and I would get like 30 people. Then it would like be like $10 a class. I get 25 people, and in the end, I ended up having 180 clients, 160, 180 clients, and I was making like $40,000 to $50,000 cash a summer after tax.
What type of workout was this?
Oh, you know, yeah, shirt off, blasting music,
Shirt
outdoors.
off, most importantly.
We're gonna have to have a separate day with this van where
Shirt
you're
off?
just doing
I'm not as jacked anymore, but like
where you're doing a moving
it was like
dance party.
It was like those like dance parties, but like the cool part about the business was I used storytelling. I used Snapchat at the time to build the hype. So people are like, I want to be outside because Montreal is so cold during the winter that being like spring to the end was so fun to be outside. So I had all these people, and I used in the neighborhood. So everyone in the neighborhood saw people doing it. They're like, oh, I want to do what they're doing. So I did that for 3 years, success, did very well financially. But when you lose passion for something, you just want to give it up. And I stopped liking fitness. And I was like, this sounded like a therapy session now, like when I was with these people. And I was like, I don't enjoy what I'm doing anymore. So I closed the business, and I launched a clothing business on college campuses. And I wanted to get back on college campuses to have fun and party. So I'd throw these big parties and then sell them the clothing after. So it'd be like a big hype fest, but I used Instagram at the time to blow it up, and it worked. But I didn't know how to run a business, so it ended up failing. I lost like $82,000, went bankrupt on that business, and my ego was shot.
Of doing boot camp.
Yeah, the boot camp was but the good thing I put in CN Railway, my stock. I put my money from that into CN Railway and a little bit into this business. Did well. The CN Railway stock blew up. But yeah, good lesson. Invest in good companies. But yeah, that clothing business I did for 2.5 years, and it ended up like I looked like a hero from the way the brand looked, but in the end, behind the scenes, the business was actually a mess. It was a lemon, and my ego was shot. I was like, I don't know if I want to continue doing this. After 5 years of entrepreneurship, I was like, I think it's time for me to just take an easier path, or a path that I could like find my way through.
Yeah.
And then my sister and my brother-in-law came up to me, and they're like, hey, we have a chocolate bar. We just developed it over the last 8 months. It's something that's really good. It's basically the combination of a protein bar and a chocolate bar, but focused on chocolate, dark chocolate indulgence. And they're like, do you want to be our third partner? And I was like, hell no, I'm allergic to nuts and peanuts, first of all, so I can't even eat my products. I said, I am a guy that needs to be out there with people. How can manufacturing chocolate be a thing? And they're like, no, but you're going to basically make the noise of the business. So we need you to just do exactly what you were doing previously, but with an operating engine behind you. And so I decided to join August 4th, 2018. We launched the company in our condo kitchen. And my whole idea was tell a great story to build an emotional connection with consumers and build CPG more like cosmetics and entertainment rather than food and beverage, typically in the boring grocery store, in my opinion. And that's how my entrepreneurship journey, and 4.5 years later, we're still going. So haven't failed yet,
still
but
in the ring.
Still swinging.
Yeah.
Gotta hit that home run, right? At least one.
And so you joined as the CMO, right?
Yeah.
But functionally, I feel like you learned something about that, and now you're the rover turned rainmaker.
Yeah.
So talk to us about that evolution and sort of just like finding your place.
I think society puts some pressure on. If you're an owner of a company, you need to have a management role. So when I came in, I was like, oh, I have to have this title of a CMO because my partners were co-CEOing, right? So I was like, I need that to show people. And I was like, hey, I tried to do it. I tried to manage them from our team, and everything fell apart. Everything was disaster. And I realized, like, wow, I'm the problem. I'm not a good manager. That's a weakness of mine. I'm not good at that aspect. So what I did is I stepped back after six months, therapy and all this stuff. And I realized that I don't need to be that. I could do my own thing. I got to play to my strength. Even if I'm managed by somebody, it means nothing.
Right.
I got to play to what I'm good at, not what I'm bad at. And that's when I moved into a delivery boy. It was called delivery boy first because I would hand deliver the product. I was basically a distributor. Yeah. I would take I had a Jeep Wrangler. I would take it, load it up with product, go meet the retailer, go become friends with them, build the relationship, dance with them, take good content. And I would do that every day from like 7 a.m. to like 6 p.m. Then we'd go hand deliver products to consumers. And I loved that. Even though I was the third owner of the business, I was a delivery guy. Right. Killed it, FedEx, the whole 9 yards. But then that kind of, as we grew, I had to roll into other positions. And I started roving around helping different departments. So I'd help the sales team because I had the relationship. I would help the finance team because I'd meet people in different finance roles. And I was like, wow, I'm doing different things. But I'm also getting in the way of people's businesses because think about it. If I'm not part of their team, but I'm helping and doing things, it might aggravate or create this like weird tension. So then I moved into this role where I was like, wow, I'm not a rover, I'm a rainmaker. So if I just independently work from the business, so I work on my own schedule, my own time, and focus on building relationships genuinely that don't have agendas,
right.
Eventually those relationships will be needed. So like when we're going to Target, I became friends with the buyers for such a long time previous. Mm-hmm. So when the time was right, I said to my sales team, hey, this is my cronies, these are my friends. I'm like, are you guys ready? And they're like, yeah, we're ready. I'm like, okay, here you go, take the relationship. I don't want anything to do with the transaction. And that's what my role became, is no transaction, just relationship building. And when the time's right, from finance, journalism, retail, and that way I don't get involvement, I don't get in the way of people. And I think every business should have a rainmaker, but has to be independent from operations. It can't be part of the operation.
Yeah, and I love the egolessness of all of that. I think you're absolutely right. Where like if you own the company functioning, you think you're supposed to steer the entire ship all times, every time. And I remember reading about you with the hand delivering the orders and meeting all these people. And obviously you're such a good community builder. So it makes sense that you're able to activate those networks to move the business forward.
So. Yeah, and I had a nervous breakdown last month, and my therapist said I lost my why. I was doing a lot for like crowds and virality. I was getting a lot of attention and stuff like that, and the ego actually started getting in the way again from like what it was day one.
Right.
And he actually redefined with me my role because I was like, the Rainmaker's great, but then I was like, I'm all about energy and positivity and like building relationships and momentum. So like I want to be energy. I want to be the energy of the company.
Totally.
Like how can I just bring the positivity? Because building a business is not just flowers and glory. You see it, you've seen it. It's hard, and like there's hardships and there's drama and there's negativity a lot of the time. So if no one's bringing that shine, that like ray of sunshine or that light, then what's the point of the whole journey, right?
Totally.
Like if you don't feel any fulfillment or energy or like I'd say like positivity, like what, are you gonna just beat the nail the whole time and like you'll go crazy, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of want to do that now. Yeah, like I get to see I'm in New York City right now. My team's in Montreal and it's freezing and it's cold and it's a little gloomy. I got to bring them that excitement from today, like show them the fun that we had, the people I met, and like that's where I really want to go. And again, I don't think you need a defined role in any business. I think people put the rigidity in the structure, but I think that just creates a wall or like a cage to block creativity and block people from being themselves.
Yeah.
And
I think it's a big problem.
When we've hired for roles, we're always like, we do have a need, but keep identifying like what do you find pleasure from? Because we'll figure out the other parts. We'll find people that like the things you don't like, and we can sort of just this title is sort of like an amorphous concept in my opinion.
Yeah.
But Mac, I want to get to you. So want to start with it's sort of the origin story and everything that got you to WME Endeavor. And then
Great.
I think for people who aren't familiar with Talent Ventures or WME Endeavor, like their origin story of how they came together. Let's do it.
Great. So I graduated from college and all the smart kids were going into investment banking and I wanted to afford to live in the city. So I'm like, sure, let me do that. Ended up in that job and it wasn't for me for a lot of reasons, and started looking for new things. And honestly, at that point, it was like, I will take what I can get.
Right.
I ended up on Endeavor's M&A team, M&A and investments, which was like a natural transition from my last job. And Endeavor, for those that don't know, to answer your second question a little bit, it's a global media and entertainment company. So really acquisitive, tons of different assets within that realm. I would say the heart of the culture of the business, probably not from like a P&L perspective, but the culture is this agency business, which is WME, IMG, and then some smaller niche agencies as well. will. But it's really thousands of actors, athletes, musicians, models that are on our roster, and we are, their representatives. So I was on the Endeavor M&A team, and 2 colleagues of mine currently on the Talent Ventures team, they started ideating around, how can we help clients and help agents structure these equity for services partnerships?
Was that push or pull too? Like, was that a request by the people that the team was managing? Or was it something that you guys like, hey, there's like a really huge opportunity here and there could be some really great cultural fits?
Yeah, so it's a great question. I think it was a little bit of both. I would say that the agents were seeing these offers come in for clients that included equity as a form of compensation.
Right.
And they were turning to our team, who are like these quote finance nerds, like how do I think of, think about this? How do I know like what this is going to be worth? So we were helping them like as side jobs almost along the way, had helped structure the Ryan Reynolds Aviation Partnership, which proved to be tremendous.
Yeah.
Tremendous success.
Great.
So he's amazing.
That's like
he's
the
amazing.
OG. Like that kicked it all off.
Yeah.
That made noise. That was like boom.
Yeah.
That guy's also savage. I mean, he's in so many different things.
He's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Mint Mobile now.
I know.
It's he's amazing.
He gets it, and his team who works with him also gets it. Because that was a great deal, and he I find him a machine. Like this guy, all over the place.
He's in a lot of things.
And he's good vibes.
Yeah.
And he's like good husband. He's great.
Yeah.
Can we get him here today?
Call him up. You probably have his number.
It's private information.
And I don't. So I think at that point, a lot of Ryan's peers and like celebrities on our roster, they were saying, how do I become the next Ryan? And then it became, really not a trend, but kind of this push of brands looking to use talent in a different way, a way that's more entrepreneurial and less transactional.
Right.
And we had already started kind of doing that, so we broke off from the M&A team and launched what we call Talent Ventures. And we, exclusively focus on structuring these, quote, non-traditional partnerships. Not all of them need to look like Ryan Reynolds and Aviation Gin. There's, a million ways to skin the cat. You can look at attaching talent to a brand just to hit like a single goal that might be there for that year. You can look at having talent attached and be a true co-founder of that business. And there's a bunch of things in between that. So, we've helped Gal Gadot launch Goodles, which has been tremendous in kind of breaking through the mac and cheese industry and better for you. Bella Hadid and Can You Force is another really large one.
Right.
But also on that kind of smaller side is the Camila Cabellos and the Olipops of the world. We've helped clients do smaller clothing collaborations with brands like Andy Swim.
Okay.
So all across CPG mostly.
Yeah, Eva's on the show. Eva, sorry.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She's
so
the best.
We helped, Dakota Johnson and Maud and Eva, for the listeners who will see that as well.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's a really fun gig, and it's an awesome place to be and really exciting.
Yeah. And so is that something you actively sought out? Was that always something you're interested in, like the intersection of talent, or is that something that sort of fortuitously was a function of that path?
Yeah, so I've always been obsessed with, honestly, celebrity influencers.
Right.
Like, I was the girl that my friends would go to, be like, who's this, who's this woman,
right.
Who's this guy? And I knew everyone.
You were like the news.
Yeah, no, I mean,
in a good way.
Like the wannabe TMZ almost.
There you go.
But then I didn't see a path that was lucrative enough for me to live a life that I wanted to do, just because I was young, and
Totally.
I figured if I wanted to do something, maybe it'll be down the line. And then this kind of fell into my lap. And anyone who knows me well, I was like, this is your perfect job.
Totally.
So it's great.
So, you mean to tell me that I can integrate my shop with you in less than a minute? You store all my inventory across your 50 plus fulfillment centers in the US, Canada, UK, Europe, and Australia, and then fulfill all of my orders globally with over a 99% order accuracy rate?
That's right. We do that for over 7,000 brands today.
And you can do that for all my D2C, B2B, and Amazon orders?
Yep.
And when my next TikTok video goes viral, or during the holiday rush, you can grow with me forever?
Yes, again.
Dang. That's the ship, Bob.
Check out ShipBob at shipbob.com to unlock your fulfillment provider that acts as your personal chief supply chain officer.
All right, so stop 2. I prepared some questions that were sort of specific to our guests, so I wanted to ask them of each of you. And Mackenzie, I want to start with you. And I really want to talk about this concept or the differences between the concept of creator versus celebrity. And in your mind, do you think they're one and the same, or do they have discrete pros and cons? And as you think about partnerships, like maybe the differences as people think through, should it be with a creator, should it be with a celebrity, things like that?
Yeah, great question. So I think as you think about them as like separate entities, so for one, my feeling is, anyone can be a creator, not to the highest level, but anyone can do that. Not everyone can be a celebrity and build a platform that is large enough to build a brand or sustain a brand. I think where the marriage happens between creator and celebrity is really when you find a brand or a product or a mission that is authentic to, that celebrity's values, and that naturally taps into their creator side, because they are living this brand day in, day out, and they truly believe in it. So I think our job at Talent Ventures is to find where is that intersection between celebrity and creator. What are the brands and products that we can put a certain celebrity with such that they will naturally become a creator? I would say most of these people have been marketing themselves since they were 5 years old, like going to auditions, going to different casting calls. They're amazing at it. So when you find that brand that aligns with who they are, the outcome is amazing.
Yeah, awesome. And so Jake, I got a question for you. As you know, this game is sort of a slog, and you're one of the most high energy people. We talked about it a lot, but you look at the content engine that is Midday Squares. I mean, you guys have tens of thousands of videos at this point. And to be honest, like speaking personally, there's some days where I wake up where I really don't want to fucking do this. And so my question for you is really like, where do you draw inspiration from? How do you reignite the spark to just continue to get through it and have that like always on persona?
Yeah, I think two things. So I think when we started, there's 40,000 products in a supermarket. If you go to the larger supermarkets, that's a lot of different products to differentiate from, and there's limited space. So you get removed if you're not performing. If you're not hitting your velocities, you're out after a couple months. The buyer needs to switch that because they need to hit their numbers, right? So when I told my partner, I said, you guys have a great chocolate bar. It's delicious. I was able to try the first one, and I said, we need to figure a way to get the consumer to come into the store being pulled in rather than pushed through and want to buy our product in this flood of other products. And what I told them was, I said, if we create a story that's relevant in terms of relatability to the consumer and bring them along the journey with us, they will feel attached to us, and that way when they go to the grocery store, they don't see 40,000 products. They're looking for our product, and when they see it, they feel something. I like to give the example of Starbucks. People go to Starbucks and spend $4 on sometimes 5, 6, whatever, on a product, but they have an emotional connection.
It's like $7.
$7, yeah. Well, we're in the heart of New York City. Perfect. Rent is higher, right? So, but people feel this they feel something when they walk out with it. There's this moment of their day. It's a feeling. So they've done a great job telling that story. I'm wearing a pair of Nike pants right now. I wear Nike because of the story that they've told for 40 years about the underdog, the motivation. It makes me feel like that type of energy. For Midday Squares, it was like, how do we marry the idea, and excuse me for saying this, but keeping with the Kardashians, Shark Tank, and then a little bit of Elon Musk. And what I mean by each one of those is Kardashians in terms of family drama, not the posh life, but my partners and I are family.
Right.
So there's automatically tension and drama within that, especially putting them as a business too. Second, Shark Tank's been a popular show because people want to know more about the entrepreneurship. They want to know about the journey. They don't just want to know, hey, I'm selling a clothing piece, or I'm selling a chocolate bar, or I'm selling a broom. They want to know the story.
Product.
So that was on fire. So I said, it's almost like entrepreneurs were becoming like what chefs were in like 2005 with like all those shows coming out.
Right.
So I said, if we take that and we just show the behind the scenes, the curtain of what it looks like to actually build a business, like really showing people like what raising money looks like, what manufacturing looks like, what hiring looks like, everything that people don't get to see on a regular because people are scared to show it, we show them. And then the idea of Elon Musk was his following was growing, not because of just Tesla and stuff like that, but because he is unapologetically himself. People either love or hate him, which is fine.
Totally.
So it's a 50-50.
Yeah.
But you'd rather be 50-50 than 100, and I'll tell you why 100 never works, because you cannot please the whole world. It's impossible.
Right.
We are all built differently. We have different cultures. We have different views. We have different opinions.
Yeah. If you don't have haters, enemies, whatever, you've never stood for something.
You need an identity, and I'm not saying get involved in politics and all that stuff. I'm saying be yourself and be proudful. Have pride in who you are. So when I told my partner, I said, if we just act ourselves, the three of us, we're very different characters. My sister is a badass CEO. She built the factory. My brother-in-law is a software engineer. He's very nerdy. And I'm a hype engine. I'm an energy bunny. So you have three different characters. If we just tell those stories, then we become our creators within the organization, where we build our own fans. And if someone's a fan of somebody, they're going to want to support. And how do they support? They buy our product or follow us on social. So that's the strategy we took. And being on all the time, it's hard. You know, it is who I am. I am an energy guy, right? I literally just came off, like I said, a breakdown. It's like I don't have the full energy and I have a back injury, so sitting down is not the greatest. But I'm still giving.
Do you want to lay?
Yeah, I can use like a roller on the back. No, but being on caused me to have all that, like, never take a moment to step back and say, hey, I got to process all this stuff. Like, I have cameras like this in my home, and when I'm arguing with my fiance about like something in life, like, or we're having a disagreement,
right,
that's still part of the story, right? Because they might use it, my team might use it for how Jake's performance has been going for the last month. Why is he like the way he is? Oh, because at home he's having problems. So we sign that off day one, and that's something that I think a lot of celebrities do, and it causes a lot of stress, anxiety, because you almost lose track of your life a little bit. And I'll never forget, my sister, my brother-in-law were the most private people in the world. Most private. Now it's the opposite. Like, they have their therapy sessions filmed, everything. And some people ask, is it too much? And I'd say yes, sometimes it does cross the line. But at the end of the day, once you commit to it, it's almost now second nature. I don't notice cameras anymore. I don't act differently around it. It's who I am, and I know that it could be used in whatever format possible. That being said, my media team will never use something that will harm me as an individual.
Right.
But yeah, we have 10,000, I think it's 52,000 videos on our Google Drive.
It's crazy.
Of every moment that has happened, because we want to do a docuseries one day. So,
I love that.
So yeah, and like I said, like, there's uncomfortable stuff where, like, you watch and you're like, you feel cringe for me, you know, or you feel cringe for the business because it's uncomfortable.
And what motivates you through all of that?
The real goal here is, like, why has no one in CPG in the last 30, 40 years built a business that has become like a Mondelez or a Hershey's or a Mars or a Nestle, which are great businesses. They're huge and they've done a phenomenal job over 100 years. But how come there hasn't been a modern company that's come and said, why don't we become the acquirer? Why don't we build a large chocolate company that's global? Why does it have to be in 3 to 5 years, we're out, Mondelez buys it, I'm just saying Mondelez, but Mondelez buys the company and then move on?
Right.
Like, why isn't there not a lot of entrepreneurs that want to build for a foundationally large business, you know? And like, I think Kind did a good job of doing that with Daniel, and then the partnership with Mars was a great partnership. I'm not saying that we never sell the company, because, you know, we do have venture money in our company and we do have investors. But yeah, we have a responsibility. But at the end of the day, that responsibility will be, what can we do to optimize the shareholders' value at the highest level?
Right.
What can we make them the most amount of capital from? But at the end of the day, our vision now is, if we build this business the way we're doing it, then we're showing people that you could do it by being you and not following that standard path of, oh, here's the typical playbook. It's like, no, why does it have to be rigid? Why does everything in life have to be so society pressured to one way? Why can't you go like this?
Yeah.
Because that's who you really are. Like, when I was not being myself, or when in college and becoming an actuary, I hated myself. I was like, this is not me. This is not me. I felt like this, like, uncomfortable tension in my system.
Yeah, like, is this it?
Yeah, I'm like, this is life. This is it. Then you have a family, you get married, have a family. You know, that's it. That's all you breathe. But then when you start doing your own thing, and you start taking the little risks and doing it in a different way and not following the herd, you start to feel this freedom, which is, it's powerful. It's real. It's energizing. You feel like you're on at 24/7, but it's not actually on. It's who you are.
Right. And I know this might predate you a little bit, but you talk about, like, why is no CPG brand building, you know, so essentially, like, create an empire, something sustainable and large. And why chocolate?
It's $140 billion annually, and I think that you don't have to educate so many people. So, like, yes, we have healthier ingredients, and it's better for you, and it fills you up and all this stuff, but I could tell you it's a chocolate bar, and it already puts you in a good mood. You said chocolate before, like, you're scared to go near it because you love it so much. So you don't have to educate someone in China, in Israel, in Asia, anywhere in the world. They know what chocolate is. So that's why we chose chocolate, because the saturation of it actually was huge. But we just want to innovate it slightly within it. That way you don't have to spend money on education, or don't have to spend money on the marketing to tell me, oh, we're using this ingredient, that ingredient, you know, it's going to be good for your diabetes. Like, that's a lot of work, right? So it's not reinventing the whole wheel. It's just taking a big space, a saturated market that has a lot of volume, and giving them something fresh within that set.
I think it's so interesting. You know, we've talked to a lot of guests. There's a clear theme and I'm just putting together live now, like there with every, we have AAPI founders, we have Eva from Maud, we have Matt from Huron. All of these success stories have been about two things. One, finding stigmatization. So chocolate like being bad for you, things like that. Sexual wellness being like a weird topic to talk about, skincare, all these things. And also just someone like super authentic claiming and leaning into it. And I think that also happens with like good celebrity partnerships where like they can identify with it. And so I sort of want to switch over to you, Mackenzie. I think there's a really wide distribution curve, as there is for anything in the context of talent. And so you sort of you traverse sort of like two roles, in my opinion, where there's like a pure play finance part. Like this is banking, this is deals, this is venture.
Yeah.
But there's also probably some responsibility that you guys feel for both the founders and the talent to make those pairings like correct. And I think there's probably some celebrities who are like, cool, money grab, like whatever, like give me some equity, I'll post. And there's some that like actually get on distributor calls and like, hey, actually we're leapfrogging D2C because this celebrity just got on this call with all these distributors and like that's really exciting to them and they're all inspired. So I think I want to talk a little bit about like what makes good partnerships. What are you looking for? How do these deals come together?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, by the way. So I think there needs to be alignment in like three main ways. I would say the first is there has to be mission alignment. Again, like, obviously the founder, if you're pairing the celebrity with an existing brand, because sometimes we help celebrities launch their own. But if it's an existing brand, the founder and the celebrity have to see the mission and the trajectory of the brand sort of, in a similar way, and really be passionate about what they're doing. The second is personality alignment. Like they have to get along. These have to be two people that want to spend time together, that want to go to the distribution partner together, and work together as true partners. And third, there has to be economic alignment. So, we structure these deals so that it's not just a money grab. This is more than something that is transactional. And the celebrity partner is motivated to be there for the long term. Ultimately, what they put in is what they get out, and they want to be doing it because they enjoyed the person and they love the mission. And lastly, I would say, the brand has to be able to stand on its own 2 feet. Like you can't just plug a celebrity into a product and expect that it will take off. You have to have a really good product with true demand and product market fit. Otherwise, attaching the most passionate celebrity in the world with the best structure, it won't work.
Yeah, and I think a lot. I have a follow-up question, but I think a lot of them probably come together very organically, or at least the ones that seem to have that staying power.
Yeah.
But how long is that like courtship process, and like how does that even work for a brand?
Yeah, so it can happen in two different ways. So I've structured deals before where the client will come to us and say, I love this product, I've been a fan for a while, I know you guys work with early stage consumer or whatever it might be, do you know them? Like, can we make an introduction? And then it's a shorter, quote, courtship. It's kind of flipped onto the talent to convince the founder, why they are a worthy partner and why they should work together. If you're going the route whereby you are a brand and you've decided that you are at this stage or inflection point whereby a celebrity is important and you want to work with someone, the courtship process can be pretty long. And we always say, like, we're not in the business of selling these partnerships. It's not worth anyone's time if it's like not the perfect partner. So, we work really, really closely with our roster and our agents to understand what are the career goals of each individual celebrity on our roster? What are the brands that we are working with, and what do we think are different personality matches? And again, value alignment matches. We almost play matchmaker. And then, there's almost like a first date that will happen. And we've had plenty of these, quote, first dates where each party walks away and says, this is not the one, and that's totally fine. And other times they head it off, the meeting's supposed to be 30 minutes, and instead it's 2 hours, and that's when this is something that really clicked.
Yeah. Jake, during the early days of Midday Squares, it was a digitally native brand, and you look at the brand today, you guys are in thousands of doors, and I'm sure from a revenue perspective, the lion's share of it is retail. And I think it's really interesting, right? Like, I'd love to hear your perspective on the transition and sort of reinventing the company to support retail, especially in a context where a lot of the things that make Midday Squares are not obvious on shelf.
Yeah, I think when we started, we weren't even a brand. Like, think about it, when we started, we were literally three of us in a condo kitchen. No one knew us. None of us had any followings on social media. Like, we just had friends and family that liked the product. So when we started, we were like, how can we get people to try? And what we did was we said, why don't we just post content, get people interested, and then give them an idea to get a sample. So what we did is we put a 25-cent sample on our website. All you do is put your credit card down, buy 25 cents, and you got this chocolate bar that was actually priced at $3.99 at the time. And then we'd go hand deliver them. So you'd get this experience where you'd buy the product in Montreal, a random person would see it on social media, they'd buy it, then we would hand deliver them one bar for all 25 cents. And we realized, wow, that was actually working. We started getting people talking. They would be like, oh, wow, this company's showing breakdowns and milestones and energy, and then they're hand delivering product, and then it's so humanized. It's such a cool little family business. And the word started spreading in where we live in Montreal. And long story short, the 25-cent sample then went to 50 cents, then went to $1 because we couldn't afford it. You're losing a ton of money on a 25-cent sample. And I'll never forget, we got our first retailer a month and a half in, and it was a bagel shop, and we started to see that actual success. Like, they were selling volume to that bagel shop. It was like literally a famous Montreal bagel shop, and he was moving like 200 units a week, which is like crazy for a bar company, right? And we then continued with D2C. We focused a lot of our attention originally on D2C. For the first year, it was about 75% D2C. Then as it switched, we started to realize that the volume of the business actually comes from retail. They put in orders, POs, that if you get a retailer that has 50 plus stores, they're putting in massive POs.
Totally.
So because we have a manufacturing plant, we needed that volume. And to go spend on influencers and creators and celebrities right off the bat and just focus on D2C push, it wasn't going to make sense, because at the end of the day, shipping refrigerated chocolate is very difficult.
Totally.
It's very hard. And when COVID was coming towards its end, we realized we're going to play the retail game. We're going to become the best retailers, because the idea of retail is it's been around for hundreds of years.
Right.
If you figure out how to do well in CPG retail, you are unstoppable, because it is a whole different ballgame. It's completely opposite than shipping product via your own factory to an end consumer. Retail you have distributors, you have brokers, you have third parties involved before it gets to the store, and then you have to merchandise the product. So there's so much work. It's almost like a separate company that has to deal with it. And how we built our sales team was not typical CPG. We hired engineers to just data science, literally go through the data, understand where the proper merchandising is best, because again, in the refrigerator, it's not the typical spot. And that's all they're doing, is they're saying, how can we get secondary placements? Which managers are easy to work with? And it's just a rinse and repeat model. So now our sales are flying.
Right.
But we took a different approach to retail. We don't take let's just hire a VP of sales at $300,000 a year, and have a broker, introduce us to a retailer and then just put the product there. No, it's a whole different reverse engineer on how we're doing it. And I think that now we're a 75%, 25% business, 75% retail, but eventually by the end of this year, I think we'll be even 85-15.
Yeah. Wow. And talk about some of those, I think something you do really great, and it's how you've always had your roots in this, but talk about like partners and the importance of shelf space. And like, it's a two-pronged question, right? Because what you've done really well is you've taken all the things that helped you in the early days of like energizing and getting people excited about the brand, and that probably started and it helped sales in the beginning, but now it's helping your partnerships at the retail level. And I'm gonna make sure Stuart gets a quick cross-section here, but I'd love to hear you speak on that.
So, remember when I said I was a delivery boy? So I used to literally act like a distributor. I'd go in, meet the buyers, meet the managers, meet the cashiers, meet the store clerks, and I'd become friends with them. So every time I came in, it was exciting. I'd come dancing, I'd come with a videographer. We'd literally bring a boombox sometimes. It built a very intimate friendship.
Right.
So when you have a friendship with somebody, typically they'll want to do things for you in the sense of just genuineness, not because there's a reason, not because there's an agenda. So that model was working at mini scale in Montreal when I did it at the beginning.
Yeah.
As we grew as a company, we scaled into New York and California, Texas, Florida, all over the place. I couldn't be everywhere 24/7. I couldn't hand deliver product. But what I did was, how can I build a genuine relationship or friendship with these people that work as managers, as store clerks, or as buyers at the head office? And how will that help Midday Squares? And what that did was it actually built this real relationship where it became not just about the transaction, like you had with your partners and the celebrities and the brands together. It became about, do I like to be with this person? Do I like to hang out with them? And guess what? I'd fly over to Florida to go see a retailer and I'd hang out with them for the weekend.
Right.
Didn't talk about business. But when we needed something, they were answering the phones.
Totally.
So I think that the model is very simple. Build friends first, then do business. Stuart, that you brought up, is this famous guy in Montreal. He must be 65, 7 years old. I don't know. I hope he doesn't listen to this. I don't know if that's his age. But we built a relationship on dancing. I would literally go visit him at a store. He was a store
Can't wait to put
clerk.
this cutscene.
Yeah, you gotta put the cuts together. He was a store clerk, and he would fill the shelves. And we'd go hang out, and I'd make videos with him, fun videos, just for fun, like, because he was such an entertainer. And I'd show him, I'd be like, this guy is literally a celebrity. He could be a celebrity. He could have his own show. And we'd show him, and then people would love this guy. I want to see more Stuart, more Stuart, more Stuart. And every time I'd go in once a week, we'd dance. We'd sometimes take our shirts off. I'd push him in a cart. We'd go on top of the fridges. And next thing you know, hundreds of thousands of views later, people now go to the store. They go to give him a hug. They go to hang out with him. And he now takes care of our account.
Right.
He buys for us. He's never done buying before in his life, but because of that relationship, it's created him to have a different role in the company.
Yeah.
And every single time he's like, are we going on TV? Are we going on TV? And I'm like, dude, it's not TV, it's social media. But that makes a difference in retail. I think people skip over the value of building relationships and planting them, and actually watering them. Not just, okay, hey, I'm gonna build a friendship. Once we get in, it's done.
Totally.
It's like, no, we're friends. You talk to your friends often. You don't just talk to them about what you need. You talk to them about life. You talk to them about anything but, oh, I want 10 fridges, or I want to be on this sale. It's like, okay, we'll get to that. Fuck that. That's later.
Yeah.
So that model works. It just takes longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's such good advice, especially for anyone in the CPG industry. Like, those people, you can't scale yourself to 1,000 doors. And so you're going to eventually have to rely on these people to, like, are they going to be facing up your product? Are they going to merchandise it? If someone asks them a question like, does this do well? Or, like, is this interesting? Like, those need to become your advocates. So I think you're absolutely right. And on the topic of make friends first, do business second, I couldn't agree more. Like, if you talk to anyone on my team, and even when we did the fundraising PR thing, the first thing I said was it's important to have mantras, and ours was always we sell trust, not media. And like media is like very secondary to what we do. Like every sales call usually has like 5 intros that are being written. The people that there's no affiliate, it's just like I think this would be helpful. I think this would be helpful. So I really like what you're saying about that.
But it works not just for retail. It works for everything.
Every part of business.
Investors, journalists.
It's authenticity, I think, is what it is.
Exactly. Build fans. Like why are everyone so focused on selling? Stop selling. Focus on what made humans like each other. What has brought us as community together. Think back to like evolution. And I promise you, if you apply those things, your business will grow. It's just, you obviously have to have a good product, but other than that, like that will help grow.
Yeah. So on the topic of good products, Mackenzie, I was at the Lunar Solar Group's office a couple weeks ago, and Drew from Celebrity Packaged Goods and Lunar Solar Group co-collaborated on a really cool panel around celebrity packaged goods.
Yeah.
And the sort of the intersection of celebrity talent and brand. And so it was Nick Sharma, Sharif Hamida, who I know is on your team, Maggie Sellers, who's awesome. And you got a lot of plugs. I know you weren't. I think you weren't there that
well, she's
week.
a star. Come on, she deserves the plug.
Thanks, guys.
But
just building friends.
I'd love to. They talked a lot about the Kenyu Forex and Bella Hadid partnership. I'd love to sort of just hear that from your perspective, because I know you're an integral part of making that a reality.
Yeah. Thanks. And it is a great product. And until you started it, so great product. That one was unique, and it continues to be unique. So. Rewind probably like 2.5 years ago, we had sat down with Bella to talk about, what are your career goals? What do you want to do next outside of, being the biggest model probably in the world? And, she said, I am really entrepreneurial. I like to be a part of businesses. And then she got up from the Zoom, we were on a Zoom, and she got up and she's like, I have this beverage in my fridge. I don't know really where it came from, but I'm obsessed with it. Do you know the brand? And it was Kenyu Forex. And she cracks it open. She said, it helps me live day to day. It's something that I really stand by. So we left that meeting and we made our way to Jen Bachelor. And we said, this is kind of the way that we make partnerships that I had discussed previously, whereby talent comes to us with a product that they love. So we went to Jen. We said, have you heard of Bella Hadid? Might there be ways to work together? And she's like, let's meet. Let's do we see eye to eye? And from there, it was just like a an amazing friendship, partnership, work relationship, and they truly like more than see eye to eye. They are partners in that business. Bella has a hand in, you know, basically every decision that they make, and, you know, every next phase of growth and every product that comes out. And Bella is called a co-founder, and even though Kin existed before she was part of that brand, you know,
Right.
Jen was really clear that I want Bella to feel like she is part of this brand, and we are almost relaunching with her, and that's, you know, what they have done and what they continue to do, and it's been really, really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Speaking of retail, they've, you know, just moved into retail and are crushing a lot of those accounts, which is great.
And so, from where you're sitting, how, like, the transaction is now done, right?
Yeah.
They've been working together for a while. Do you guys stay involved as a support? Are you like a liaison? Like, now they're partners, right? So to what extent do you remain involved in those sort of arrangements?
Yeah, so we definitely stay involved. So Endeavor is like this really large ecosystem. So there are different ways that we can leverage that ecosystem to promote and, you know, Kin in different ways. So for example, at the Super Bowl, we have this like big lounge, and Kin will always be there. If there's a party, we are ensuring that Kin is there as well. We are, you know,
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, we are just like sitting in at board meetings and paying attention. And even though we don't need to liaise day to day and like set meetings for them, we definitely remain active partners in that business.
Still give opportunities, like
Yeah,
wherever you could fill and plug,
exactly.
which is cool. The ecosystem is being used.
Yeah, and we do that for all of our brands, not only Kin. I think Endeavor, people don't realize, beyond being the agencies, we own UFC, which is tremendous.
Oh, do you? I didn't know that. That's one of my favorite leagues.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So it's performance, it's theater. It's
is
so
completely.
fun. It's so fun.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing. We also own New York Fashion Week, so there are times where like, you can like plug Kin in there. We
Gotta get Jake on there.
You know, get me. I'm going to UFC. My friend's fighting Conor McGregor next. And I'm like Chandler. We're gonna put the plug into him.
No,
Let's go,
I meant
Chandler.
Fashion Week, dude. We're working on the back still.
Okay,
we're gonna need a Fashion Week
I can't
first.
scrap right now.
Then we'll get you back to UFC.
I used to try us to. I wanted to.
I think Dana White would like Midday Square.
Yeah, I think
have
so
a
too.
feeling.
He loves the. I think he liked the energy.
Yeah, me too.
that's true.
You guys,
Come on.
similar energy.
Over 7,000 customers like Pet Lab, Chamberlain Coffee, Hero Cosmetics, Spikeball, Dossier, TB12, Pit Viper, 100 Thieves. Tens of millions of packages shipped every year. 50 plus fulfillment centers across the US, Canada, UK, Europe, and Australia. An app store with 50 plus integrations like Shopify, Amazon, NetSuite, and many more. Managed inventory distribution, D2C and B2B fulfillment capabilities. 99.96% of orders shipping on time. 99.95% order accuracy rate. Yep, we're talking about ShipHop again. We know picking a fulfillment partner or 3PL is not easy. And equally importantly, we know you never want to have to move or pick another one. That's why we partnered with ShipHop. From 0 to 100 million in sales, ShipHop has you covered.
So, stop 3 on our route today is some intersectionality questions, and so things that I thought you guys might have unique takes on, or one question that's meant for the both of you. And so the first thing I want to talk about was just the power of community in Jake, your brand, and the brands that you work with, Mac. Because I think community is so powerful, and I think the reason it is you know, I run a media company, and I think community is what is the hallmark of truly sustainable brands, because even as media owner, like, it's volatile. The wind is gonna blow. You know, you'll have iOS 14.5 hit, and then you know, TikTok will explode, and then maybe it gets banned. Who knows what happens? But that's why I think community is so important. It gives you time to figure it out. And so having that community, you have that built-in like audience of people you can activate while you try to figure out which ways the wind's blowing. So I'd really just love to talk about how integral community has been, Jake with Midday Squares and Mac with, you know, as you think of, you know, these celebrities and the partnerships, all of this makes sense because they have communities.
Yeah.
I think community is everything. I think after product, community is the most important thing. It's your story. It's how you make people feel. It's what they care to, you know, look around. Otherwise, we're just a commodity. We're a chocolate bar. You know, there's thousands of brands across the world that are chocolate bars, and some of them are delicious, by the way. And I'm a big fan of a lot of these products, but the brands don't have communities, so I don't really see them. I don't feel anything from them. You know, like I brought Nike before. Nike had built a community on motivation, on this energy of like, I feel like I want to go work out from it, right? That's hard work of time, effort, energy, storytelling that has been put into the brand.
Right.
So for CPG, I felt like over the last 7 years, we've seen a lot more brands focus on the community. Still need a lot more focus on it, but it makes a difference. When I put a product at Whole Foods or I put it at Target, we sell, yes, because placement's good and because the product has product market fit, but at the end of the day, our community goes and gets it. They're excited. They want to support. They want to empty the shelves. They want to skew the data, as according to my buddy named Max Chewing, who has a brand called Sour Strips. He always says, community is everything. That's why a lot of creators or YouTubers or celebrities can launch brands, because they've built fans that love them, love what they stand for, love what they've built, and then they want to support. So that's where also good product has to come in after that. But I think at the end of the day, for us, we said we weren't a celebrity. We had no fans or anything like that at the beginning. So we needed to build that from scratch.
Right.
And how we did it was just be authentic. And authenticity is something that this world is lacking, unfortunately, where when you are with people that are authentic and real and not, being somebody else, you actually feel closer to them. You feel like there's a sense of trust and relatability. So we've focused that with our customer base. And I think that I don't even like to call it a customer base, I like to call it a fan base. And what I think is unique is we have 350,000 followers across all our social media following. We don't have millions, but that 350,000 are diehard people.
Right.
They go there, they buy the product, they talk about it with their family, they share it, and they became our soldiers on the ground, our sales advocates. And that's why our velocities are so high in stores like Target, where our peanut butter is the #1 SKU in the entire set for the last 24 weeks, is because our army's marching there. We're not investing crazy on marketing. We're investing in our story, our organic story, and how we tell it. We're not pushing many influencers. We're not pushing that. We're pushing a story that gives this community a sense of, being part of, feeling as if it's in their journey as well.
Right.
When we go through moments of hardship and breakdowns and those stuff, that's real shit that we all go through as humans.
Yeah.
We all go through those hard moments. So when you see a brand telling that story, you're like, wow, I feel closer. I feel like a friend.
Right.
And I think if you don't have community today, you're in trouble. Like, your brand you could be doing $100 million, but your brand will have trouble succeeding because people will slowly veer off to brands that have that community, that sense of community with them.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I totally agree. Community is everything, and I think when you're partnering a celebrity with an existing brand, there already is that community, and you need to be identifying someone that the community will look to and respect and feel like this is someone who belongs in that community.
Yep.
You're not going to, put someone at the top that really doesn't fit in. And then I
Right.
think you also have to look at what is the natural community that already follows this celebrity, and does it make sense for our brand? If there is, a model that you're looking at, we want to make sure that her following is resonating, with the product, and it's not just a bunch of men that might be following her for different reasons. We have to look at what is the breakdown of her demographic. Does that community resonate with the existing product? And
Right.
sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, and
Your
we have
Venn
to.
diagram a little
Yeah,
bit,
exactly. And
It's
just
art, no? It's like an art to mix and match.
Exactly. So it's just making sure that the brand's community aligns with the celebrity's community aligns with the brand, and then both of those communities also mesh.
Yeah.
I think we want to work with a celebrity in a way where it's a celebrity that's just bold and authentic.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter, for us it wouldn't matter if they're foodies or this, that. For us it's is this person just unapologetically themselves?
Yep,
Because then we align on a core value, right?
Exactly.
So it's that authenticity can spread like wildfire, and we're looking for that. We're trying to figure it out because we haven't had a celebrity, and we haven't worked with celebrities yet, but we're trying, as my partners and I discussed, we want to actually marry that, because we don't want it to be a face of a brand, but we want it to be hey, we love you, we love your energy, and we want that energy within the organization.
Yeah, it fits within us.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that you said we haven't found it yet. You don't need to rush into it. It's so important that you find someone that really has that energy that you're looking for.
It's like dating.
Yeah,
same thing.
back to it's dating. There's no need to rush. You can find someone, and them having that energy is so important, because what you guys have built already has its own identity, and
Yep.
you need to ensure that identity is similar to that of the person you're
And
bringing
protecting
on.
both identities,
Right,
the celebrities and
exactly.
ours. I think some deals, and maybe you guys haven't done, but some deals you see are just, they don't make sense.
Right.
And it ends up not working because they don't actually agree on a lot of things, right? So like, and this is, I've seen like some, like, I'm not talking high A level, but like I'm talking like some like big YouTubers or stuff like that. They partner, and then guess what? They slowly just veer off.
Yeah.
And you realize that they just didn't have the core values, the same core values.
Yeah. What's also interesting that we've seen is sometimes there is a brand that has a certain community and they want to tap into a new community. And then you're using a celebrity to do that. You actually look for someone that has a very different community.
Back to the Venn diagram. It's like
exactly.
the other part of it.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, we've struggled to tap into this. So how do we use
so
someone?
How can you help us do that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like let's marry the two. Kind of
I think that's a
blended
powerful
family.
partnership too.
Yeah, it is.
It opens more markets.
Exactly.
Right.
That's exactly
Opens
right.
the TAM.
Yep.
All right, well, when you need a celebrity,
Well,
sounds
I'll
like
be
you have
calling
some good
Mackenzie 100 times.
representation.
Oh, yeah.
She's
Should
I just
getting
structure
calls
a
now.
fucking deal
It's like,
right
hey, I
now?
want that. It's like, hey, can we do this now? It's like, hey, let us know. Keep us on the radar.
No
love
broker
it.
fees.
Yeah,
no broker fees.
just straight to the point.
What do you think about the intersection of psychology and business?
I think it's important. I think first of all, from an actual psychology standpoint, running a business is extremely difficult. So if your operators aren't fully all there and equipped with tools to help them get through these crazy hardships, these moments that are really difficult, it's a pressure cooker. Running a CPG, and I'm giving only CPG as the example because I'm in that, but CPG is extremely difficult. And if you're not equipped with the right people in your corner and the right tools to actually get you through, you're in trouble. Like, I'm telling you, like, without my therapist that we have for our teammates to use as well, it's hard. There's moments where you want to throw in the towel. There's moments where you want to give up. You feel deep loneliness, deep sadness. When you're trying to build something that's not been existent before or hasn't been done before, you are seen as crazy or you're judged. I had some of my best friends who are very successful professionals in this world judge, and at the beginning, like, you're running a chocolate company, like, what's with you? Like, why are you doing that? Like, why waste your time? And they're not doing it from a bad heart. They were doing it because they couldn't see it. They couldn't see past the trees. They couldn't see past what I was seeing. Right. And I think that, like, understanding that in psychology helped me not be angry at them, not be mad, but understand that they're not in that chapter. And it's not who's better, who's worse. It's not about that. It's that we're just in different parts of life, and that's okay. Yeah. And I still love them. So that's where psychology really comes in, is it actually prevented me, and it gave me a different perspective on life. It gave my partners a different perspective on life, on how to treat people, how to be more empathetic. So when it comes to partnerships, you're not just going to go around from an ego standpoint. You're going to have psychology. And when it comes to finance, yeah, those are tough negotiations, and you need to be strong mentally. You need to have people in your corner to understand how to get there, because you sign a deal that has a bad contract in it, you could lose your job as one of the founders. You could be kicked out of your company. So I think psychology as a whole, I look at psychology more as therapy rather than just like tools on like how to negotiate or something like that from a mind game standpoint, like we were discussing. I think it's more like, let's equip people with better mental health resources today and be more normalized on that topic, because I get it, it's expensive, it's a privilege to have, but we need to make it either more subsidized, or we need to help businesses help get it for all their teammates and their partnerships.
Yeah. I think, to look at it from like a shallower level, because I agree with all that, and can't really say more than what you have said. But in terms of like consumer psychology, we spend a lot of time thinking about how are we ensuring that something comes off as authentic and believable, and therefore has the impact on demand from a consumer perspective when it comes to a partnership. Like, we don't want a consumer to look at a partnership and think this was made in a boardroom or made in like a lab, for lack of a better term, because that doesn't really have the wow factor. Right. And then you also think a lot about consumer psychology and how much are celebrities actually influencing culture and the actual individual. Totally. And how do we ensure that is maintained and optimized, because that ultimately will help the brand that the celebrity is working with.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's fascinating. And so I want to wrap up top 3 here with a question for you guys. Jake, you mentioned that you see the CPG world as becoming more celebrity packaged goods than consumer packaged goods, and I'm curious to where both of you, I think, see this industry moving. Is it like a boom bust? Like, will there be contraction? I think it will always exist. Is it a means to an end? Is it here to stay? Is it too complicated to make a broad, sweeping statement? And I'd just love to hear your thoughts on the future. And
do you mean from like a celebrity partnership perspective?
Celebrity and creator-led brands as a movement.
Yeah, so I think, rewind 20 years ago, social media didn't exist. Like, social media exists, it is here to stay, and because of that, celebrities create and influence culture at their fingertips all day, every day. You know, we as consumers follow them constantly. The amount of time spent on these platforms, whether it be the same platforms now or in the future, I think will remain insane. Because of that, celebrities will just, you know, perpetually have influence and therefore, you know, have the ability to drive and optimize and build brands. So yeah, I think it's here to stay.
Yeah, I think celebrities have an audience, they have community, and brands need a lot of the time to access communities. So I think it's extremely important. But I think that you're going to see a balance. I think if the partnership isn't authentic, it won't last. If it's authentic and it's meant to be, like the partnerships you were discussing earlier, those are real ones that are working.
Yeah.
They're working because they married two values. They were aligned on what they wanted to do, and that's why it's having success. I think there's some celebrity partnerships that I've seen, they've come in, and it was a nice little push forward, but then after that, it started to fade, and you don't hear about it anymore. And that's just because it wasn't aligned, right?
Yeah.
So I think you need a mix of both. I think you need operators with celebrities, or celebrities being operators if they want to. You know, not all the time they don't want to. They have a whole life to run. Being a celebrity is not an easy lifestyle.
Yeah, some of the busiest people.
Yeah, and from a psychology standpoint, it's hard mentally, it's hard physically.
Yep.
You know, everyone wants something from you. But sometimes when you partner that and marry it with great operators that even too want to be creators as well, it could work. It needs to be like, it's a puzzle. It needs to be put in a proper puzzle.
Exactly.
You need people like Endeavor, the talent ventures team, to figure out where that fit is. Be that liaison.
Look at you giving me the plug.
Yeah, give him the plug. It's authentic plugging, by the way. This is no joke.
That was great.
Yeah, awesome.
We sold $6 million our first year and did $80 million in sales last year. That's what the COO of Adventure Challenge, a longtime customer of ShipOb's, shared with ShipOb the other day. The pace of growth for Adventure Challenge has been insane, but it wasn't all positive. It started with a failed crowdfunding project. Then investors assured them that their business would fail. They raised $0 in outside capital. And it somehow only took a few years to hit $80 million in sales. They started off fulfilling all orders themselves. They'd have U-Hauls packed with thousands of products, making endless trips from their storage unit to the post office. It was not scalable. It was definitely hurting their growth. It definitely wasn't fun. That's when ShipOb started their partnership with Adventure Challenge. By being able to focus on growing the business and product development, sales took off like a rocket ship. While Adventure Challenge initially focused on D2C sales, their popularity started driving other conversations. They started to stock several hundred smaller boutiques across the country, then Francesca's, then Kohl's, and while they're based in California and most of their customers are in the US, the word of mouth and viral videos on TikTok and Instagram started driving demand around the world. So then they started filling orders out of Canada, and then the UK, and now Australia. From a failed Kickstarter and getting $0 in outside investment on day one to over $80 million in revenue, Adventure Challenge has defied the odds and built a global powerhouse brand alongside their partnership with ShipOb, who's there to help you completely unlock your brand's growth. Read the entire story at shipob.com/adventure-challenge.
All right, guys. Well, fourth stop on our route. It's a segment we call the hot box. So obviously we're in a box. It's modeled off sort of like the hot seat, which is it's going to be a this or that question game. So I'm going to say A or B. Mackenzie, I'll have you answer first. Jake, I'll have you answer second.
Great.
And the goal is you don't think too much about it. You say it as quick as you can, the first thing that comes to mind. Okay?
How aligned do you think we're going to be? Like, let's say 100% was all right. Like, what do you think?
I'm going
I think
63% alignment.
I think 75, 80.
Same. I was gonna say higher than you expect.
This isn't fair because you get to listen first.
Yeah, fine. I promise it won't be biased.
Right,
I promise.
His therapist has done enough work that he will answer authentically.
You gotta have your own character. You can't pressure. You can't feel the pressure.
All right, you ready, guys?
Go.
Ready.
Cold plunge or hot tub?
Cold plunge.
Cold plunge.
Wow, psychos. Beach house or ski house?
Ski house.
Ski house.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee.
Sunrise or sunset?
Rise.
Rise, yeah, as well.
D2C or DTC?
DTC.
What's D2C?
It's just how you decide to talk about it or spell it.
DTC.
Neat or messy?
Messy.
I'm messy.
Corgi or golden retriever?
Golden.
Corgi. There's our first error.
Winter or summer?
Summer.
Summertime.
Tennis or golf?
Tennis.
Tennis.
Pineapple pizza or candy corn? Gotta do it,
Neither.
gotta
Yeah,
do
I
it.
don't like
You gotta.
neither.
You don't get a
What's
choice.
candy corn?
It's like the
Pineapple
Halloween, like
pizza.
the three colors. It's,
Okay, honestly, they're both not.
The
great
Canadian
ideas.
accent.
Yeah.
Candy corn.
All
The
right.
fact that we both said neither is hot. Like that's cool.
live music or DJ?
I'm DJ.
Live music.
Live in space or live underwater?
Space.
Space, yeah.
Fight one horse-sized duck or 1,000 duck-sized horses?
One horse
One,
size.
yeah.
Sweet,
Can't start swinging at everybody.
Sweet snacks or salty snacks?
Sweet.
Sweet.
Call, text, or audio notes?
Audio
Text.
notes.
Reading or writing?
Reading.
Reading.
Work remote or work on site?
On site.
On site.
Do laundry or do the dishes?
Laundry.
Dishes.
Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, or TikTok?
Instagram.
LinkedIn.
Dancing or people watching?
Dancing.
Dancing. But no, that's not even a question. Like,
Cocktails or beers?
Cocktails.
cocktails.
Would you rather feel too hot or too cold?
Too hot.
Yeah, hot. Not
Yeah, I
cold.
feel
right
that,
now, like,
like-
my hands
Right
are-
now,
yeah,
right?
my toes are cold. Everything's cold right now.
You get one animal to protect you against a horde of zombies, gorilla or grizzly bear?
Gorilla.
Gorilla, they're way
So
stronger.
smart.
Yeah, they're like,
Yes,
oh yeah, they're like
it's
more
dumb.
human. They're
Yeah.
more human.
Give up bread for life or cheese for life?
Cheese.
Cheese, yeah.
Air guitar or air drums?
Guitar.
Yeah, guitar.
Board games or video games?
Board games.
Board.
$50 on red or black?
Red.
Black.
Start early or leave late?
Start early for me.
Start early.
Fiction or nonfiction?
Non-fiction.
Where are you traveling next? Europe or Asia? Or where do you want to travel next?
Europe.
Africa.
Okay. That was not one of the answers, but we'll allow it.
Other. She chose
But you
other.
said next. You
Rich-
said next.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
She chose other.
Rich and famous or rich and anonymous?
Rich and
Rich and
anonymous.
There you go. Playlists or podcasts?
Podcast.
Podcast, yeah.
Cardio or weights?
Weights.
Weights.
Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Speak to animals or speak 10 languages?
Speak to animals.
10 languages.
Netflix
That's
or
a-
YouTube?
Netflix.
Netflix.
Telepathy or teleportation?
Teleportation.
Teleportation, yeah.
Trucks or billboards?
Trucks.
Truck.
Thank you.
No shit,
Ford.
trucks.
Receive good news or bad news first?
Bad
news.
All right, well, the bad news is we're at our final stop.
You're telling us the first thing?
Guys,
That
thank
was like
you.
95%.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, no, you guys were not even that close.
What?
There
What?
was, we'll check the tape. I think
Are you
we're
kidding?
around
Dude, I was
63%.
the actuary. I know the math.
That's true. All right.
That was at least, we maybe did four different ones.
We'll review
That-
the tape.
Yeah,
How many
yeah, I
questions
want
is it?
to.
I don't know. It's probably like 30.
Okay, so 26 on 30 is high.
All right. We'll see about that. I mean, animals, languages, we'll get back to it. But guys, this was a really good discussion. I'm so glad that the two of you were together. I
Yes, it was
thought that
great.
was like such an incredible pairing. So thanks for sharing your perspective and insight. I want to give you guys in the audience, people listening, a chance to hear where they can learn more, follow up with you, things like that. So
Yeah,
Mackenzie,
for
can
sure.
we start with you?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to learn more, hear more, honestly, hit me on LinkedIn, Mackenzie Connolly, Connolly. I'm super active in my messages, and we can chat further there.
Cool.
I just
Jake?
added you
Great.
last night, I think.
Last night.
I,
Okay.
Double check. Add me on LinkedIn too, Jake Karls. I'm super active on messaging, unless you're spamming me with something, because like I find that not hot. We use hot in Canada as a general term, but yeah, follow on LinkedIn and follow Midday Squares on TikTok and Instagram. It's a lot of fun, and you'll see like a reality show style stuff.
And where can people find Midday Squares?
In the refrigerated section, Target, Whole Foods, Sprouts, Wegmans, soon to be a lot more retailers. We have some exciting ones coming, but we'll go to those ones for now.
It's actually amazing.
Cool. So
yeah. She's not bullshitting.
I'm not. It's so good.
why don't
I'm
we
ready
go
for mine.
check out some of those places?